freedom's call. Shout for liberty, stand tall. For the bold, the brave, the free. A people liberty shops where you want to be. So laugh, sip, wear your pride. With every purchase, feel inside that spark of fun, cool and edgy dreams. We're the Patriot shopping regime. Patriots in the mix. Jump on a P4 Liberty shop quick. Get your founding flavors brew. Coffee with a rebel hue. Keychains jingle freedom's call. Shop for liberty, stand tall. For the bold, the brave, the free. A people liberty shops where you want to be. So laugh, sip, wear your pride. With every purchase, feel inside that spark of fun, cool and edgy dreams. We're the Patriot shopping regime. Patriots in the mix. Jump on a P4 Liberty shop quick. Get your founding flavors brew. Coffee with a rebel hue. Keychains jingle freedom's call. Shop for liberty, stand tall. For the bold, the brave, the free. A people liberty shops where you want to be. So laugh, sip, wear your pride. With every purchase, feel inside that spark of fun, cool and edgy dreams. We're the Patriot shopping regime.
Good morning. Rise and freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. It's Thursday. We've almost made it to the end of the week. Friday beckons. What are you guys doing this weekend? We got an invitation from Pop to go do a little bit of crappie fishing at Lake Truman here in Missouri. It's going to be nice. Spend a little quality time. How about yourself? Got any exciting plans? I'd love to hear from you today. You can always text the show night or day, 573-319-1586. Here's my recommendation. Take that phone number and program that into your phone. That way you can say, anytime I want, I'm feeling a little lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely. You got somebody to call your own. You can text me anytime you like. I may not always reply, but I'll try. We've got a lot to discuss today. It's the Wicked Witch of the Woke, Catherine Marr. I think the biggest story that came out of this whole NPR saga, where that NPR editor Yuri Berliner did journalism on purpose at NPR, freaked them all out over there. NPR was running around screaming their heads cut off. He resigned yesterday after he was asked to take a step back. The biggest story out of this NPR kerfuffle has been the revelations about the new NPR chief. She just took over about a month ago. I've got her resume, and it just reads like the list of all of the most corrupt institutions of the world. Christopher Rufo's going after her. I've got some clips from her TED Talk that she gave. Of course, they always give TED Talks, these out-of-touch weirdo elitists. We're going to hear from, this morning, Camelia Peterson at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. I'm excited to talk to her. Boys, I got to say, last summer we called it Hot Boy Summer. Some of us call it Hot White Boy Summer. That's racist. How dare you?
How dare you?
But now we've got something new. This year, it's not just going to be Hot Boy Summer, which has been extended into the summer of 2024. But now we're all going to be entering our soft boy eras. Man, boy, identifies as a man. We're going to call it the soft boy era. And we're going to talk about what the soft boy era is with the very lovely Camelia Peterson. Aren't you excited for that? You think she's going to get those pink cheeks? I've also got a question to ask her about some dog poop brownies that showed up on the desks of legislators yesterday. They were going around. So the fight over school choice here in the state of Missouri has just gotten dirty. And in some ways, literally, some brownies called dog poop brownies appeared on the desks of Missouri legislators. Now, ordinarily, I would be all in favor of such chicanery. But because it's to take away our freedoms and to remove our ability to be able to decide what school our kids should be able to go to, I was not a big fan of such chicanery. So we'll be talking about that with Camelia Peterson, as well as, boys, if you're watching the show this morning, just saying, you're going to want to stick around because we're going to be talking about how we're all going to soon be entering our soft boy era. I can't wait. And all the ladies are going to be like, no, you can't be a soft boy. We need you to be strong and take care of us and pay for the bill when it comes. But we also want to be free and independent and do what we like and have jobs and make more money. But we need you to make more money than us. Anyways, soft boy era, soft boy, hot boy summer, and soft boy era. It's coming, right? So you know how you see all these like women wearing these annoying Taylor Swift style shirts where it's like, I'm in my something era. I'm in my something era. Well, we're all entering our soft boy era at 7:30 today. It's gonna be great. At 8 o'clock this morning, I have no freaking clue what we're going to talk about because I basically worked all day yesterday, and at the end of the day, found at like 9 p.m., I realized I did not have a guest for 8 a.m. So you know what that means? That means AP is going to be doing some singing, some dancing, some goofing around. You know what? Maybe we're even going to take calls. You guys want to take calls? Tell you what, we'll take some calls. We'll take some calls. What we're going to do? Okay, some calls. You're going to be able to call the phone. On the phone line, we'll talk about whatever you like. That's it. 8 a.m. today, viewer, listener calls. There it is. 8:30 a.m. Central Time. It is Thirsty Thursday, of course, which means that not only do we have Camelia Peterson, but we've also got Daniela Pensack on the line. Gay furries are targeting Charlie Kirk. What? Austin's got that freedom face. We're going to hear from Daniela Pensack today about gay furries targeting Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon. I kid you not, the gay furries have got it out for Charlie Kirk, being like, it's actually more dangerous than it sounds. You would think that a bunch of gay dudes wearing fursuits would not be that frightening, But because many of them are hackers, it actually ends up being kind of bad for us. So Blue Trike says today is going off the rails. Yes, it is. Enjoy. It's kind of like a Biden speech that starts out well, but then
America is a
ends well.
nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
Yes. So, anyways, so the new NPR CEO, Catherine Marr, she gave a TED talk, which everybody's talking about, where she kind of essentially asserted that truth is a distraction, which is getting in the way of getting things done. Now, that might be the most uncharitable way to interpret what she said, but why should we charitably interpret what the left says when they never do the same for us? Let's take a listen.
The places where we are prone to disagreement, say politics and religion. Well, as it turns out, not only does Wikipedia's model work there, it actually works really well. Because in our normal lives, these contentious conversations tend to erupt over disagreement about what the truth actually is. But the people who write these articles, they're not focused on the truth. They're focused on something else, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years of working with these brilliant folks, I've come to believe that they are onto something, that perhaps for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start. In fact,
searching for the truth might not be a good place to start.
our
Okay.
reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done.
Excuse me? Our reverence for the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done. This is fascinating for the woman who is at the head of National Public Radio now, who, which as a journalistic institution, should have a deep and sincere reverence for the truth. But now that she's taken over the institution, I bet you if you were to ask her what her thoughts are about the truth, I'll bet she'd be singing a different tune. These people are chameleons who change their colors in whatever institution that it is. They're very flexible, moldable in their views in order to fit whichever institution it is that they're trying to take control of. Now, she has a very long resume of institutions that might be of interest to you. One, now CEO and president of NPR. She was a member of a board of directors for this Web Summit group, but it was only for something like 6 months, not for a very long time. Signal Messenger, which is an app that people use to exchange text messages. She was a board chair of for 1 year. She was also, of course, a young global leader at the World Economic Forum for 5 years and 4 months. Of course. Blue Trike says, "Oh, AP, can you add the audio clip of Norm Macdonald saying, 'Sounds like commie gobbledygook to me'?" Yes, yes. Tommy, yes, I will actually do that for you. No offense, but it sounds like some commie gobbledygook.
No offense,
Hold
but
on, wait. Actually, I think I can pull that up for you right now. I will add that to my soundboard, though, Blue Trike. That's a good idea.
But it sounds like
I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. Hold on.
no offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Just the best part of that clip isn't just what Norm Macdonald says, but Sarah Silverman's
Sounds like
response
some
at the end.
fucking commie gobbledygook.
You can tell that like Sarah Silverman has had to put up with him, has had to put up with Norm Macdonald for years. God, I miss Norm Macdonald, especially with the death of O.J. Simpson. Can we give it up for Norm? One of the funniest men of all time. Norm Macdonald, thank you, Blue Trike. I appreciate that, man. Sounds like some effing gobbledygook. Sarah Silverman's like, Norm, man. He always got him, didn't he? All right, let's get back to the topic here. Catherine Marr. She is Now, she suggested during this speech, this TEDx speak, that Wikipedia actually has a model that works really well in determining what the truth really is, which is if anybody if anybody if anybody knows how Wikipedia works here, it's honestly not the best way to determine what is the truth. If you ever want to go down a rabbit hole and on yours truly, go back and read the edit history of my Wikipedia page. I remember the war that was fought online between people my haters, and it was like, it wasn't even people who really agreed with me. There were people who, like, the people who actually finally got my Wikipedia page up, which bless them. I don't know who any of these people were. I had some suspicions about who some of them were, but when they had this war over whether or not my Wikipedia, whether or not I was relevant enough to have a Wikipedia page, there were like people who were being neutral, who were just kind of like, the guy's running for president of the United States. He's been mentioned in lots of major periodicals. He should just have a neutral page. But there were like just these forces of evil battling back and forth over who could spread the most lies and slander and malicious bullshit about me on my own Wikipedia page. Like, if you read my Wikipedia page, sure, there's some stuff on there that's accurate, but the way that they go about finding the information is to find the most uncharitable definition of who you are. Like, the funniest one in there, what is that, like, they made it out to sound as if I was like living in a dumpster or something like this. So I was living in an apartment in Kansas City, which was, it was a nice apartment. It was like a sixplex, and it was really nice. I was renting it. It was a good part of town. But the writer of this piece said that he was living behind a Midtown Quick Trip. Like, I was living in the dumpster behind the Midtown Quick Trip, and that's the part that they cut and used in the Wikipedia page. You could actually go back and read like all of the fights and the arguments and debates between all of the evil assholes who wrote my Wikipedia page. It's always a nightmare. But Catherine Marr, who is the head of National Public Radio, taxpayer-funded National Public Radio, says that's the best way that's actually the good model to find out what the truth is to have leftist shits determining what the truth is, who spend too much time online fighting with each other in random comment sections. So I don't know. Anyways, thank you to Quest Fanning for the donation. What's up, Hammer Lagger? It says you were born in Independence, Missouri. That is true. Quest Fanning says only reason she doesn't like Trump is he causes people to question her spray tan. That's fine. Don't forget to click that like button and click the follow button as well. If it's your first time watching us here on the show, we'd be glad to have you come back and join us on the regs every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. The Wake Up America show streams live. Today, we've got a special episode of our bonus content for you to unlock. I think you want to see it. Would you like to see it? So every day I produce a mini documentary of bonus content of either historic importance, libertarian importance, or just, plain old flat fun, like the ones that I did, The Guns That Won. That was a very popular series. Today's bonus history / philosophy documentary is available to you to unlock by the end of the show. If we raise at least $60 in either donations through Rumble, on YouTube, or at apforlibertyshop.com, then, for example, if somebody were to go buy a pair of Javier Malaya Fuera shoes right now, that would unlock the bonus content in itself, right? Because that's over $60. But if 6 people donate $10, that unlocks the bonus content as well here. So you can either make a Rumble Rant donation. And I saw yesterday that somebody had made a donation through YouTube as well. It was like our first time that we've seen somebody make a donation. We remonetized on YouTube, but we don't spend as much time over there because I just think, well, it's good for advertising the show. And I got no ill will against the people who are on YouTube. I place it there just for you. If you're watching us on YouTube this morning, I put it there so that you can see it. I just think long term, eventually, that they're going to, say goodbye to AP for good. So I don't invest a lot of time or resources over there. I hope you understand. Terry Miller over there. Nice to see you. I hope you understand. I just don't invest a lot of resources over there or time just because I just unfortunately think that it's just not going to be. Eventually, one day they're going to take it away from me. So, but I do monitor it every once in a while. So if you make a super chat over on YouTube, I will see it. If you make a rant on Rumble, of course I see it. And of course, if you make a purchase at apforlibertyshop.com, I see that as well. So get those in and we can unlock the bonus content today. You want to do it? Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do it. All right. So back to NPR. This Catherine Maher chick, right? So she has a bit of a shaky relationship with the truth. Is she able to separate her politics from her views? I don't know. I don't think so. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. You know what, though? Daniela Pensack is going to talk to us a little bit. She's got a strong opinion about it. Most of what I've heard out of Catherine Maher, if you take a listen to her views, is, well...
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Yeah, if you check out her bio, the Catherine Maher bio, member, Foreign Affairs Policy Board, Department of State, McCoy Family Center for Ethics in Society, Wikimedia Foundation, Access Now Advocacy Director in D.C., the World Bank, Council on Foreign Relations, World Economic Forum, Senior Fellow, Atlantic Council, and now the head of NPR. Boo, boo. Bow to the Queen of Slime. All right, so we're going to talk about those poopy brownies in just a moment. What does it mean to be in your soft guy era? Let's take a listen.
Pollard for dropping a slideshow on Instagram explaining what this is. So if you didn't know, me and my brother Goody started the soft guy.
Just by the way, you're welcome for like keying you in on all the cool internet slang and the latest trends on what's going on. And if you're wondering, Austin, why are you talking so much more about the war of the sexes versus like more political stuff? Is because one, there isn't a whole lot of big news happening right now. That's one thing. And two, because the reactions that I get from talking about male-female issues have been pretty large. And it's also a lot of fun to talk about with Camellia. It's Camelia's fault because John Combest, who's another radio guy here in Missouri, he actually did a segment on his radio show, which is live at the same time as ours. He did a segment on his radio show about the conversation that Camellia and I had, and it was really funny because John was having to explain to his colleague, what does it mean to be a tradcon, like traditional conservative? And the guy was just like, what is all of this stuff? So when you watch the Wake Up America show, you are like 5, 10, 15. You are living in the future, my friends. The future is now, old man.
Era a few weeks ago, and it's going viral. We have been wreaking havoc on the internet, and so have the rest of y'all. We love the support. Keep dropping y'all videos. Let's keep making them mad. So now we're going into detail on what this is. The idea.
What is it?
Men in their soft guy era want to find high-value women who can take care of them in ridiculous ways. Yes, we do. They want us to have money. I want my woman to have money as well. It's only right. Drizzle, drizzle. The soft guy era is a response to the soft girl era of 2023. It mocks videos in which women demand ridiculous things from men. It twists a mnemonic device from YouTuber Letitia Puday, a.k.a. the Sprinkle Lady. It's a supervision of alpha male content.
That's subversion. Okay, go back for just a moment. So what are we talking about? There's a lot of big words in there. Okay, he's saying, what does it mean to be in your soft guy era? So I like soft boy, right? We're soft boys. Okay, we're all heading, gentlemen, if you're listening right now, we're all heading into our soft boy era. It's hot white boy summer. And we can also have the Latinos as well. If you're a Latino boy, we'll let you in. Okay, so hot white boy and Latino boy summer. Plus, we're now entering our soft boy era. And what is it? Well, it's a response to last year when women were circulating all these videos about how they were wanting to enter their soft girl era, which means being taken care of, getting their nails done, not working, having a strong man do everything for them, and making all these ridiculous demands on men. So now we're entering our soft boy era. And honestly, the response, the backlash to this has been predictably ridiculous and insane. I've got another article I'm going to show you in just a moment about how they're like, it's so misogynist, it's so sexist, men wanting their woman to step up to the plate and start providing and showing that they can actually do things like my Stephanie. My life is so sweet and so soft because my woman steps up. She actually steps up to the plate, and I gotta say, I'm definitely living in my soft guy era. Well, I'm not. I'm working hard, but anyway, so it kind of twists a mnemonic device from this YouTuber where she called it sprinkle sprinkle, which is that you get sprinkled with money, right? But now the boys are turning it around, and we say we want a little drizzle. You know what I'm saying? You want a sprinkle? We want a drizzle. So it's a subversion of alpha male content.
Hey,
Let's go.
The sprinkle lady. It's a supervision of alpha male content. And then here's the kicker, and this is what they don't like. The 4 points. Women say they want equality, but then some demand the most unequal situations from men. And this includes men paying all the bills, but the woman is making money as well, but she doesn't want to come out of pocket because she's a woman, right? Doesn't make sense.
Right. So for a while, it's been your money as a man is her money. Her money is her money. Her money is her money. Your money is her money. But now that we have equality, we start to say we want to demand a little bit more. We want a little drizzle.
That doesn't sound equal to me. Now we're going to go down to insight. If men acted like this, they'd be laughed out the room. See, now when women are hearing these things, they're like, "Oh, this is ridiculous. No way. You want a mom. You want a parent. You want a man." No, we just want what you guys want from us in return. Now on to the advantage. Men believe they bring a lot to the table, so maybe they are now the table. See, a lot of men don't realize they are the table. If a man is paying all the bills, sir, you are the table.
This is what I've been saying for a while. And people, when I say these things, again, it's like our buddy, I think it was Guokas yesterday, was agreeing with me. When I say these things to my friends, they look at me like I have 3 heads, right? And Stephanie and I were talking about this yesterday. She was like, you know, because she deals with therapy and clients, and a lot of the problems they have are relationship problems. They can't get a man, or they can't get a girlfriend, or what have you. And the thing is that Steffi was like, you know, how do you as a man get to a situation where you're not looking for women? Like me, I was not looking for a woman. I was not looking for Steffi. And, you know, just to be candid, right, about our conversation, I don't think she'll mind. I think she's listening now. But, you know, I kind of kept her at arm's length for a while, and she pursued me, right? So, like, I kind of helped Stephanie with her therapy clients because, you know, I introduced her to a lot of this red pill content, and I show her like what it is that I had to do to become a man who was high value. I had to focus on myself. I had to think about like making myself a better person. I had to achieve things. I had to actually accomplish things in order to actually attract quality women to me. And yesterday, Ben Shapiro and Andrew Tate were having this argument back and forth about like what it is that you need to do, where Andrew Tate was sort of suggesting you should cheat on your wives and have like 30 children. Meanwhile, he has no children and has no wife and is a former pornographer. And then there's Ben Shapiro saying that you know, oh, you should just get married and you should just, you know, dive in with both feet. Meanwhile, like the divorce rates do not favor men. It's like 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. Imagine what it's like with a lesbian couple. The divorce rate by women is 100% there. But how do you make yourself a man that attracts quality women? You have to work on yourself. You have to have accomplishments. And Stephanie at first was like, well, what about confidence? You know, you were so confident. Well, confidence as a man, that can get you in the door, but it's not going to keep her attention. It's not going to keep her interested. It's not going to keep her coming back for more. Like the soft guy era, the soft boy era is obviously a little bit of satire, but the backlash to it has been extreme. The absolute insanity of the response to men suggesting that their woman actually step up to the plate, that if they want a little sprinkle, that they've got to give a little drizzle, if you know what I'm saying, right? So I know that this is funny, but I'm reading this article from Life Hacker, The Out of Touch Adult's Guide to Kid Culture, the Soft Guy Era. Sometimes we have to look at what toxic men are doing. I don't like it either, she writes. So this is over at, it's Stephen Johnson, so gay man. This week, I dig around in the cesspit of online alpha male influencers to find out what soft guy era means. This is a hater. I also look into the wholesome Utah fit check trend to find out what happens when AI starts making memes. So what is the soft guy era? Manspace influencers have been hyping the phrase soft guy era for the last week or so, and it's been working. A lot of people are talking about it, working hard to get the hashtag trending and plant the idea in people's minds. And it seems to be working, at least on young men. And I looked into it, and I wish that I hadn't, because I'm super gay and totally queer and a hardcore leftist. According to Scarface, the person at the center of the soft guy trend, a man in his soft guy era wants to find a woman who will take care of him in ridiculous ways, like me and my wife. Oh, she takes care of me in some ridiculous ways. But seems straightforward enough. But like most everything from red pill and red pill adjacent people, the soft guy era is a reactionary and dishonest concept, a troll driven by misogyny and money. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that soft guys are, they really think that they're going to be getting a lot of money from women these days. Very funny. In a world of online woman hating for cash, I need to get a shirt that says He-Man Woman Haters Club. In the world of online woman hating for cash, the soft girl thing is an affront to men, an injustice, even though a man supporting a woman is rooted in patriarchal ideas that online dude guys usually support. It's another gender war double bind. Women who want careers are hated, and women who don't want careers are hated too. No, ladies, we don't hate you, right? You hate us a lot. We know you hate us. You show you hate us. Here's the thing. There's all these people giving dating advice out there these days online. Most of them are women. And listen, here's the thing. I don't hate women, but I would never listen to a woman for dating advice unless she also dates women. Has Camellia ever dated a woman? We'll find out when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars. ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's revolutionary roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's patriotic perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your Founding Flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.
Who's going to tell the 4G pill bros that drizzle doesn't make sense?
Look, if you're broke, just say that.
No, you drizzle men are actually being dead serious.
Oh, every time I get on this app, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment from you men. I don't know any of you all, but...
The war between the sprinkled sausage warriors and the soft guy era kings is just getting started.
Soft guy era is only for soft gay era.
Listen, I ain't condoning none of that soft guy ever shit they talk about.
Drizzle means I'm too broke to make it rain.
Drizzle means I'm too broke to make it rain. Good morning. Austin Peterson here for the Wake Up America show. You guys ready to have some fun, huh? My money don't jiggle. It folds. I want to see you wiggle for sure. Riding in my Fiat, you really had to see it. It's the Wake Up America show. We stream live every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. Hot white boy summer has been extended into 2024. If you're a Latino man, we'll let you in as well. We're going to lower the wall. You can come on over. Hot white boys and Latina boys summer. We're also entering our soft boy era, which is lovely. Living our best lives. The ladies have been wanting us to sprinkle since the dawn of time, but now it's our turn, gents. We have true equality. We're going to get a little drizzle. Joining us live this morning to discuss the war of the sexes ongoing, the lovely Camellia Peterson joining us live. We missed you on Tuesday, CJ. What's happening?
Hi, I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I've been a little out of pocket doing conferencey things. And anyway, Tuesday morning I was on a plane. So
glad to have you here, CJ. Thanks so much for joining us live this morning, nice and early. So, soft guy era. Do you want to just kind of give our listeners, people who might just be tuning in, like, what is this? What is drizzle? What is soft guy era that's got everybody talking this week?
We're all over here asking that question.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw this pop up, he said soft guy era, I was like, that's not a thing that I would be saying publicly. This whole thing, like I just posted, like there are things that I could go my entire life blissfully unaware of, and this falls into that category. And thank you. Now my YouTube algorithm will be feeding me this stuff. I'll be like, what the heck?
I mean, be honest, Camellia. How often do you open up the rundown for the show and look at the topic that I have for you for the next day and just roll your eye?
I'll try not to laugh my way through this segment. Okay, nobody wants to see us like just laugh for 20 minutes.
True.
Okay. No, it's well, so you were summarizing it up earlier in this idea that, and I didn't even know that with women this whole sprinkle thing existed, and men taking care of them, and with the women not having to lift a finger. Sounds kind of like they're wanting sugar daddy and no sugar. I like, and so the idea that men are flipping this, and now their version is drizzle. There's so many levels and so many things wrong and that you can go in terrible places with all of this. It's just, anyway.
So wait. So okay. So for people who are tuning in and they're like, what the hell are they all talking about? They're laughing.
Right.
All right. So last year, a viral trend went around. It was called the soft girl era, where the hashtag sprinkle was the what people were saying in order to denote that a woman wanted to be taken care of. Made all these ridiculous demands. My man has to make 6 figures. He's got to be this. He's got to be that. He's got to be 6 feet tall, 6 inches long. So all these things, right? But then what happened is there was a bit of a turnabout, and this year now we're seeing a new hashtag, new viral trend. Instead of sprinkle, it's drizzle. Is it unrealistic for us, to expect something in return? Because what it feels like, and what it felt like before I got married, before I met my lovely wife, who definitely drizzles me, and I definitely have a little bit of that soft boy life, which is nice. But what it felt like when I was still in the dating scene is that it was a lot of gimme, take, right? What do you bring to the table as a man? And then whenever there was any kind of an expectation of a return, it was like, oh, well, I am the table, right? You get to breathe my air. You get the privilege of not embarrassing me, right? And it's starting to feel as if there's a war of the sexes, it's starting to feel like men are winning again. Camellia.
So the fact that this guy was talking about, he's saying like, this is, they're taking this really seriously, and they don't realize that like we're mocking them, we're making fun of them and turning this, flipping this on them. But in one part of me appreciates that and thinks maybe there's some value in it, but another part of me is like who has time for that? Is it really? I don't know. Is this really so pervasive? Is it a very online thing, and maybe there are just some of us who are not plugged into this and think it's absolutely insane.
You heard my conversation with Aaron Clary yesterday, by the way, did you?
No, I haven't had a chance to listen. Yeah, I was telling you right before we came on, I was really fascinated that you had him on. I thought I saw that go by yesterday, and I will go back and listen to it, because I discovered Aaron Clary like several years ago, and he's probably one of the first people in the red pill community that I came across.
Highly recommend that you definitely take a listen to it. He's an economist, and he's got a lot of insight on the this war of the sexes conversation that we're having. Thank you to Helping Freedom. He made a $5 donation. Do not come. We're glad to have Camellia.
Soft boy era, anyway.
In your sophomore era. Very good one, Camellia. A good jab back for the eye poke earlier. But what he said yesterday, he's talking about dating apps and how many of these apps are unsustainable because there's not a lot of dates that are actually happening from these apps. What they've become is a sort of a way for women to receive attention from men, but then dates never happen. So men are actually leaving these dating apps en masse. Have you ever heard of Bumble?
Yeah.
Do you know how Bumble works and what makes it different than other apps?
I don't know.
Yeah, so Bumble's proposition was that that women approach the men on this. So you would match with someone just like you would on Tinder, but the person who has to make the first approach is the woman. Well, that was their whole premise that made them different from other apps, and now they're actually looking at scrapping that because it's too much to ask that women do the absolute minimum, bare minimum, when it comes to meeting someone. And now these dating apps are going bankrupt because there's no dates happening on them. Aaron Clary's conclusion was, and I think it's probably, you might disagree with me immediately, but I bet I could convince you. Most women don't like most men. Most men like most women, right? The opposite is not true. Most women don't like most men. Most of you don't like us. And as a matter of fact, a large percentage of you, maybe 30%, probably actively hate us, despise us. That is what the dating app data shows. He says, as an economist, and it's, swipe left, left, right? How would you react to that?
Well, I do think that what we've seen here in the last few months with the rise of all of the ick rhetoric is probably indicative of that. So I could be persuaded. I mean, it's not the women in my immediate circles, but I know I'm not always the norm either. So, but I do think when popular trends like what gives me the ick, and there's a lot of really stupid stuff out there that women talk about.
What gives you the ick?
Like, I don't know. So my brain does not work. Okay. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to touch your feet. Like feet give me the ick.
Okay, yeah, that's acceptable. All right,
but there's no like, I don't know, little weird things like stupid stuff that they talk about that I would say, oh, that gives me the ick. I mean, it's just giving me the ick about that's so moronic sounding. Seriously, I mean,
what about if they use the wrong there, or there?
I wouldn't call that an ick, but
yeah, bullshit. Oh, boo this woman, boo her.
There might be a little bit of silent judging.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that give Camellia the ick these days. But it's just like, I mean, you're a single mom, right? You date some, right? And you'd like to, date, find yourself a good guy, at least from what I can tell, like as a friend, not to make it too personal or anything, but I mean, it's hard out there for the ladies, but it might be because your expectations have kind of ratcheted up. Like the whole reason we're talking about the soft boy era here is that like what has occurred is that we have almost parity when it comes to our incomes. Yep. So if you want to have hypergamy, right? If you want to date up, the available pool of men it's not out there, especially for you, Camellia, as an educated, intelligent, well-spoken and active woman in the state of Missouri, in Southwest Missouri. Like there aren't a lot of men. I mean, you're not going to any plumber conventions, Camellia, to find a man.
They have plumber conventions.
I'm sure they do for the pipe fitters union.
Well, what's funny is when you first said parody, I was thinking the other parody, because you're right. So for some of the people in our audience, parody in the way that you were using is equality. But I was thinking that parity in income has almost led to a lot of parity in like relationships, in as far as the level that we've dropped to, I would say, is almost to the level of parity, because we talk about these ridiculous things like sprinkle and drizzle, and it's like is this what we do as a society now? This is the level we've dropped to in terms of men and women's relationships.
They're kids. I mean, kids. These are young people coming up with this, right? So I mean, obviously they're going to make.
Is it? Those people in those videos didn't look all that young.
Okay, good point. Good point. There are a lot of, I mean, and here we're talking about it and we're in our 40s. So but so obviously the culture has made its way to us. But listen, there's a serious conversation that needs to be had here. And the question is that, if you're looking at this from a macro perspective in culture and society, like we don't want to end up where South Korea is, right? They are not replacing themselves. Japan, same thing. And the women have far surpassed men in terms of education. They've entered the workforce. We've sort of discussed this before in the past, Camellia, but we're heading towards something of a natalist crisis to an extent. Here's the thing, and when I listen to Aaron Clary, he talks about what could actually be done, like in terms of getting men and women together. Right. It's I'm a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. Do you think women need men? Because when you ask a woman on the street, do we need men? You know what they say? 7 out of 10 times when you go to these man in the street videos I watch, they say, absolutely not. Don't need no man. Men aren't shit. All this kind of stuff. I don't think women actually appreciate what men contribute to our society, even though it's literally surrounding us in every building that we enter. So what's going on in your heads?
I think there's a lot of false bravado that goes on with women. And because women absolutely do need men. Men and women are complementary. You know, we have strengths and weaknesses that complement each other. And we are more successful, we are more productive, we are more stable as a society when those relationships are healthy.
But what's going on in your head? I'm asking. What I'm saying here is what I'm trying to understand is why the false bravado? Why the I don't need no man? Where is this coming from? This rejection of an entire gender. Let's freeze our eggs and have a child. Have it like literally women are choosing now to just have a child and not have a husband at all. Like don't even seek out a man, right? And live your entire life raising a kid by yourself. I mean, is that really attractive? It seems to be to a certain segment of the female population. What's going on upstairs?
I don't know why it would be attractive because it's not easy. It's not easy for single dads either. It's like parenting, separately is infinitely more challenging. And we've been on this cultural trend for a long time, right? We back in the 80s we were talking about how in media, in TV shows, dads were being portrayed as bumbling idiots and men were stupid, and it's not gotten any better. And I think, we can talk about where that starts and, whether or not it has anything to do with women having the right to vote or, how feminism started in its, legitimate forms or not. But I do think that it is is a pendulum swing that, went to an extreme like so many other things that we do. And so I think what we are seeing right now, and so women have been sold this narrative for so many years, and it's been so culturally ingrained in everything that they see in the media that they consume, in the entertainment that they consume, that there is a very basic kind of, there's always been kind of this battle of the sexes. I think that to a certain extent is as old as time. But I think, given the media and, online activity now and all of these, the information age, I think in a lot of ways has probably exacerbated that immensely. And so I think we're seeing the compensation for that, right? The pendulum trying to swing the other way. And so men are pushing back and there's a lot more awareness of this. And so there is this parity element too, right? That it seems really ridiculous and insane, but it also seems to be kind of part of what moves us back in the direction. I just like, my hope is that as we move back towards rational, reasonable dialogue about men and women, that we can at least kind of like stop in the middle.
Well, like Liz, for example, over on the Rumble chat, she's she's sort of confirming what I'm saying here. She says, "You men cowered during COVID. You proved your weakness. We lost respect for real this time." I mean, that's it right there. I mean, poured all over an entire gender. I mean, it does appear, Camellia, to most of us that most of you hate our guts, that you despise us, which is fascinating because most of the COVID tyranny came from chicks, right?
Yeah.
It came from women,
Absolutely.
right? In our communities, in our society. Like, where is the tyranny coming from these days? Like, why? Who is it?
Why do we have
Right.
the Karen bean?
Yeah, why do we have the Karen meme? Why, who do you think it is that's putting the chicks with dicks in the sports teams, right? And in your locker rooms at Planet Fitness? Do you think that it's men who are advocating for that shit? I guarantee you they're not. So it's like this it's this weird situation where like women have all this power, but they claim they don't have any power, but then they want men who have more power than them, even though they voted to take away power from men. And now we're in a situation where that's why when I hear Pearlie Davis say things like women shouldn't vote, I may not agree with her, but I'm glad she's talking about the important things that we need to be discussing, like the men who gave women the right to vote, the simps.
Debatable. Although she's changed her mind on that.
Actually, good. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Right, I'm not about taking away women's voting rights, but that was a conversation in our country. That was a debate. There were women who didn't think it was a good idea. There are women today who still don't think it's a good idea. We had to have a constitutional amendment in order to do something like that. Drastic changes had to be made to our country's makeup. And I think that there is an argument to be made that women vote socialist, they vote Democrat, they vote left because they're more emotional, less rational, less logical. And you see that when you listen to people like Catherine Marr at NPR and you read any of her tweets, right? They, the way that they responded violently, like an antibiotic response to what Yuri Berliner had said about what NPR was doing. I mean, it's kind of a joke that we live in a gynocracy, but we sort of do.
Sure. Well, and what is the saying? The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. That's not necessarily a new saying either. So I think these are things that are long ingrained in our history. And like I said, I think in this digital age, like we are having to handle it in a different way. And I think women are being confronted with the reality of be careful what you wish for because you might get it. So, if you wish for, being completely independent and saying, I don't need no man, and, all of these other boss babe, girl bee, things, then you might get that. And and then there's a whole lot of regret that happens down the road when you figure out that, you don't like what you got so well after all.
Have you heard of the Longhouse meme, Camellia? Do you know what the Longhouse
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Okay, will you share that with our listeners, at least your
Well,
understanding of it?
I'm going to let you do that because I don't know that
Okay.
I can explain it
No
very
problem.
well,
No, it's fine. So
but I know what you mean.
yeah. So it's become a meme. The Longhouse it goes back to certain Native American tribes, which were matriarchies.
Right.
And the communal style of living rather than individualist, patriarchal, more male-centered styles of living where they would live in teepees or they would live in huts and tents and things like that by themselves, where each family was an individual unit. The Longhouse was a situation in Native Americans where when the women ran the tribe essentially and made all the important decisions, they would do something. They would mate in a similar fashion to certain monkey populations, like bonobos, for example. And the way that
Right.
bonobos and Native Americans, certain Native Americans that had lived in longhouses, mated was to not know the paternity of the if men knew the paternity of the child, they would be less willing to expend resources on taking care of that child. So in a matriarchal society, women vote to take away resources from men to take care of children that are not their men. And we live in a longhouse form structure because if you were in a longhouse, everybody was sleeping with everybody. You didn't know who the father was necessarily of the child. So all of the fathers were essentially forced into a communist style of living where they didn't know if it was their kids. So, in gorilla or monkey populations, it would prevent fratricide, or what do you call it? Not fratricide, but when you kill your own child, whatever the side that is.
Right.
That happens, in nature, but in human populations, right? What we see is a longhousing. It's become a meme. Is that American society and culture, the West, is as we go to more feminine centric needs and we look at things, women are essentially longhousing men, by voting away our money, creating a welfare state and welfarism, that now we are forced to take care of children who are not our own. In an individualist or more patriarchal society, for example, men take care of their own children. Now we're all being forced to take care of everybody else's children. And that's essentially when you hear somebody say they're being longhoused, that means that they're being cucked, essentially, to some extent. Right? If a man is being longhoused, he's being cucked, right? He is a cuckold, right? His woman or whatever is sleeping with all the men in order to ensure that man will be a provider for whichever kid she has, probably the alphas, maybe not the betas. But we see this in America. We see this in the West today. We see this in the West with the way women vote away money from other people to themselves to raise kids that are not theirs. And this is why we need mandatory paternity tests at birth, right?
Yeah, we probably should not have that conversation again.
No,
So hard
I know,
disagree,
I
but
know.
no. So
Sure.
the thing is like that's there is has been an issue as far as within our court systems, right? And I think that we have been seeing good pushback against that. And this is also why we saw the rise of the men going their own way movement. And I think that's a very natural backlash. Now, the problem is that, and this is like the good side of the red pill community versus what I would consider really more toxic, self-defeating black pill side of the red pill community, is that you have men out there who are putting out good content. And you kind of referenced earlier, like, for you were working on yourself as a man and doing what you needed to do, and not necessarily just pursuing every woman out there and letting them come to you, because you were doing what you needed to do to be a good man. And there are people out there who are coaching men to do those things, and not mentoring them to like cater to a woman's every whim, because men should not be doing that. There is a lot of value and importance in a man being able to say no, because I am here to tell you that if a man is not able to say no to a woman in a lot of different capacities, that ends up being destructive and to a relationship in the long run. And people don't, women think that they like that. Trust me, you will not like that. It comes out in ways that you will end up not liking. Now, that the black pill, side of the red pill community, they're like, that's where you get the incel crowd, right? They're like, women are terrible. There's nothing we can do. So we're just going to, stay at home in our mom's basements or whatever. Or we're just going to talk, crap about women all day online. And those are the women, honestly, that like Pearly things, because she feeds that bias in them, and she doesn't push them to go find content that actually gives them something they can do about it.
Okay, but not everybody who analyzes a problem is necessarily responsible for finding a solution. Just because if I see a hole in the dike, I don't necessarily know how to fix the dike, but I can tell that there's a hole there. What I said, the problem with that criticism of Pearly things is it assumes that just because she's pointing out real problems, that she necessarily has the solution. She's too young. And in some ways, right, people point out rightly, and she even admits that she's a hypocrite, right? Because she talks about things like saving yourself for marriage, right? Where it's kind of like all of the same like expectations that are placed on men for marriage are still in place, and yet none of our wives are virgins, right? Like no hymen, no diamond. I don't know if you've ever heard that one, but
no, but I don't think that can be said of either side now, to be honest.
But it doesn't. But does that matter? I mean, like, because here's the thing: you have all these traditional conservative, like Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles, giving all these men dating advice, like. Maybe they were virgins before they got married, and if they were, good for them. That's perfectly in line with their thinking. If they weren't, then they're sort of hypocrites to some extent. How can you give a man advice about a woman if you have no experience? A woman is not the kind of thing that you just walk into. It's not. It's like driving a boat, right? A big giant yacht, taking it out on the ocean for the first time. You don't just give that to anybody and just think that you're just going to be able to drive a yacht into the ocean, or give somebody a really expensive bottle of wine who's never drank wine before, and they're like, ugh, gross, this is disgusting. They're going to have no idea what they're encountering there to some extent. And so you've got people like Ben Shapiro and Michael Knowles, and, I agree with them on a lot of political things. But when you have these traditional conservative and Christian types and stuff in the church who are trying to give these men advice to get them away from the red pill, and then you've got toxic people in the red pill community, most of them aren't really giving good advice when it comes to women. Maybe you and I should start up like a dating advice show, Camellia.
Oh Lord.
Because you've
Can
been
you
through,
imagine?
you've been through the divorce, right? So you can like talk about the perils of divorce. And I skipped my first divorce and have, thus far at least, a successful relationship. So I can say, and I had experience with women before I got married. I mean, virgins, like if you're telling guys, young guys, be virgins before you get married, women aren't going to like that. Like we're setting men up for failure is what it is. Andrew Tate, Ben Shapiro, these are the people are listening to for dating advice, or even Pearl, right? I mean, Pearl doesn't actually give advice. That's the one thing about her I really like. She doesn't like tell men what they need to do. She just analyzes these problems. Because I think that's what you've identified as you said, oh, she doesn't tell people to go to healthy places and stuff. What are some healthy places that you would recommend, Camellia?
Well, I think that there are a couple of long-standing men who have been long-standing in the red pill community that have put content out for many, many years that are places that I would start. And Rollo Tomasi, who, I sometimes disagree with, but he, like undeniably has put out a ton of great content. In fact, he has a book that's on my Amazon list right now. He's wrote several books. But he has one on, oh my gosh, the name is just escaping my mind, but he has several different subtopics in this line of books. And one of them is on religion. And it does address some of these issues that you were just mentioning. Anyway, that's on my list because I find that fascinating. So that's one I intend to read. But also, I would say Ryan Stone is another one as well. And I think Ryan's unique niche in this field is that he really talks to a lot of the married men who find themselves with this realization, that something is not right, and they're already married and they're in this relationship. And the point is not that you just need to ditch that woman and leave, that's not the point. I mean, maybe that's what you have to do, maybe not, but he does like give very actionable advice on, what they can do to start to work on themselves and change themselves and how they do that with the woman who is currently in their life to preserve that if possible. So I think there are a lot of men that are out there that are producing good content in that regard. And it's my thing. I don't think that women should be telling men what they need to do in this, just like you tweeted about, women shouldn't be giving men dating advice.
Unless they date women. Unless they date women.
And shall we just clear this up now? Because somebody texted me about this right before the show. No, Camelia does not date women.
Oh. They're all very sad to hear that, all the ladies out there and the interested men. Camelia, we're going a little long. Is that okay? Do you need to leave at any certain time?
I'm good for now. Yeah.
Okay, stick around for a little bit. Okay, real quick, let me reset for those who might just be tuning in. Good morning, I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching the Wake Up America show. I'm speaking to my friend Camelia Peterson. We are not related, but we are good friends. And she joins us typically every Monday through Friday, or excuse me, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. Central Time on the program. If you'd like to unlock today's bonus content, please get your donations and Rumble Rants in by the end of the show. If we don't unlock today's bonus content, then it goes away forever. And I know you guys will not like to see that. Now, we want to have an unbroken streak of bonus content to unlock. And we've only got 55 minutes to do so. So get your Rumble Rant donations in or make a purchase at apforlibertyshop.com. If we raise at least $60 by the end of the show, you'll unlock today's bonus content.
Is there a theme or a teaser for this one?
Well, this week was all about the big themes in libertarianism. So today is one of the biggest themes regarding war. So in order, if people want to unlock that content, then they got to get those Rumble Rant donations in, or just go to apforlibertyshop.com or buy a few boxes of coffee or a pair of Javier Milei Afueras. Okay. So dating advice, right? The problem is, with men, they don't get good dating advice. They don't have good leaders, right? They have either, men who are divorced or going through a divorce who screwed up their lives and screwing up their children's lives. They have men like Michael Knowles who are in healthy dating relationships, but who got married 10 to 15 years ago. The dating market is not what it used to be. Or you have Andrew Tate, who is telling you to sleep with as many women as possible, cheat on your wife, have 30 kids. He's just being obnoxious and ridiculous with his advice there. Sometimes Andrew Tate says some good things.
Sure.
But it just he's only kind of repeating what like Rollo Tomasi and other red pill men are saying. So I mean, we do have a lack of good information for men out there to actually improve them. There are men who are being black pilled by people like Pearl and others, but it's unfortunate that it's an unfortunate situation that I find young people are in right now if they actually do want to get together, because the avenues for which they can meet, the tradcons will say go to church, but the churches have largely been feminized as well, haven't they, Camelia? I mean, when's the last time you stepped foot in a church?
It's been a little while, and so I will tell you, like, just kind of a little illustrative of that. We just had something happen in Springfield, Missouri, where they had this big men's conference, and there was all of this drama on stage because, the couple of these pastors of these mega churches were there, and one of the things they had as part of the conference was some stripper guy from Vegas, like it's a sword swallower. but he's on stage, shirtless and whatever. And so the other pastor like calls the other pastor out about this and says like, this shouldn't have any place here. So there's like all this drama around this. And I'm just sitting here thinking, why do you have a male sword swallowing stripper guy come into a men's church conference to begin with? And it really reminded me of these mega men's conferences that kind of started back in the late 80s, early 90s. And I know that the intention was good behind that, but I think that the outcome has not been what they wanted to do. I think it's had it's really the opposite effect in that. And let me give you something that encouraging that I've observed here in the last couple of years is that I have seen men that are like on social media, and they form these groups where they're just spaces for men. And I think that because we're in this current feminist culture, that women seem to think that there seems to be this idea that men just need to get together and talk. And I think a lot of men would say, like, men do not need to just get together and talk. Like, who wants to do that? But there are a lot of groups where guys get together and they're doing things together. So physical activities. And I do think things like that are important because men communicate differently than women, and physical activity, doing something else at the same time. And then conversations do come out as part of those activities, but the conversation is not the focus of the activity. That I think is what we need more of in men's spaces, and for men and for our boys that are coming up, so that they, that men are bringing them into these kind of groups and normalizing that behavior. And so I love to see, and I have seen it come up every so often. I at the community level, I think we need more of that.
I know we need more good, healthy conversations. When I was a young man, we had a lot of male retreats for the First Baptist Church of Raymore. And one of them was like a day where we all went out hunting, and then we would have a dinner for the men, and it was just for men. And it's rare to have anything like that anymore. I don't see those kinds of events. Churches do have those kinds of things, but there was always this kind of in any places when I was growing up. Now all of our spaces have been invaded, but I remember there were times when you would have groups of men, and women were always trying to insert themselves into whatever group it was that we had. If we were having a guys' night, they would be like, "Oh, can he bring his girlfriend? Can we bring a girl? She doesn't like hanging out with girls or whatever. I'm a guy's guy. I'm a guy's girl," and all this kind of stuff was like the way to get in. But it's always like we never felt the need to invade female spaces, obviously, because it's quite awkward. But I never understood, why is it that women always feel like they need to insert themselves into male spaces? Last question on this topic, and then I want to ask you about the dog poop brownies. Go ahead. So
no, I said that.
Well, I mean, why can't we have our own spaces? What is it about the fair sex that they just feel the need to, guys' night out, going to the bar, being the boys? Oh, can his girlfriend come? Why?
I think it's a control issue.
Yeah.
I think that is, that women feeling that they do have to know everything. And, that part of that is being able to control every, part of that relationship. And it probably, if you really dig down to the root of that, it's fear-based, because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to hold on to that man, that man is going to leave them, or, that they will lose value in his sight. He'll be pulled off by another woman, so I think a lot of that does get down to fear. But it is that behavior that is driven by fear that actually ends up driving men away, because they don't let them, because when you display such distrust, in a man, then, I think in his mind, I think that opens the door for, actions that lead to actually betraying that trust, because you by doing that, you show a lack of respect for him. And any man that I know will tell you that that's probably the number one thing that they would like from women is respect.
There you go. Any man of mine better walk the line.
Oh gosh.
Camelia Peterson, one last question before we let you go. I'm going to pull up a picture up on the screen. This was from the Adam Schwadron. He is a candidate for Secretary of State. He's also a representative here in the state of Missouri. Pulling that picture up right now on the screen. Here we are. Oh, no, I'm not. There it is. And now it's up on the screen. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is what Adam Schwadron says. He says, today, a sweet treat appeared on our desks. The accompanying note is a bit disturbing. There are all sorts of ways to make a point about legislation. Alleged food tampering is not one of them. Additionally, ethics don't allow us to accept the item as technically it is an item of value and thus prohibited by the Missouri Constitution. Okay, so lots to unpack here. We have what appear to be what they call, with the note by Janet Martin, dog poop brownies. From a group called Liberty Link Missouri. Bev Allen is the president, and it looks like a brownie, but they're saying it's a dog poop brownie, and it appears as if they're giving them dog poop, and it's kind of a threat almost if they don't vote against school choice in Missouri. These are conservatives against school choice? What is this?
Yes, so I'm going to put my AFP hat on for a few minutes and follow up kind of on what, so Jeremy Cady was on the other day, and that's my boss for those who are not aware. He's our state director. So this school choice bill that's been going through has been very controversial. There was a lot of hype going nationwide. Like we have lots of people saying crazy things all over the internet about this bill supposedly opening the door to make it a felony for homeschoolers to own firearms, to have firearms in their homes. Completely false. Multiple lawyers have given, their legal opinions on this. That has not changed. The Homeschool Legal Defense Association is kind of the gold standard for homeschoolers as far as protecting them from lawsuits, that's protecting them from the government, that you can be a member of. Their attorney came out and said, there's no cause for concern here. Unfortunately, I do think that that HSLDA flipped from pressure and they came out asking people to oppose the bill, but they did not reverse their legal decision, their legal, opinion on it. So that's a little concerning. However, part of these anti-school choice groups that have really resorted to a lot of dirty tactics with legislators and really alienated themselves, and it's why they've earned and they have registered as lobbyists. So this Liberty Link PAC that you're referring to, is a PAC, and there are people who are registered as lobbyists that are part of this. So they've become known as the Westboro Baptist of lobbyists in the Capitol, and this kind of behavior is the reason for that. So it is right. You're basically, giving legislators, supposedly contaminated food in an effort to twist their arms. I will say, kind of as, by the way, as a little bit of background, the lady that you mentioned who has this group that did this stunt yesterday, used to be the president of Concerned Women for America in Missouri. So a very faith-based Christian organization. They do a lot of praying on the Capitol steps and praying for legislators. And so I can't tell you how many people called or messaged me yesterday saying, did she really do this? And they were like shocked and thought this was so out of character for someone like this to do this. And I think this just kind of illustrates the level of insanity that we've reached, in our political culture on the right, as well as, what we're doing. So it is nuts. And I think that it is really destructive. I think that if this trend on the right continues to where we have groups of people who are doing this kind of thing, we will end up losing. Like, this is how we lose in the long run, and it won't take very long. But as update to the legislation part of things, the Senate last night, in an attempt to assuage the fears of people about the 2A issue, pushed through some definition changes that basically kind of really made that more solid. So there was no doubt about it, and they put that out there. And of course, because these people are just opposed to school choice in general, they're like, but did you really, and they're still not going to support it. It's like, because there's really nothing you're going to do that's going to make them happy. But that's where we are. And so, yes, House representatives, unfortunately, got served dog poop brownies. And they're like, oh, well, it was just a joke. But there's, there are things that you do to get attention or to make your point, but we also have to have lines that we don't cross. And I think this crossed a pretty big line.
Okay, Camellia Peterson, thanks for giving us an extended segment today. We appreciate you. Anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners real quick before we go?
Nothing else. I just, I'll be traveling back in the land of Missouri this evening, so it'll be good to be back home. And go look at my Twitter because we got to protest Joe Biden yesterday, and it was fun.
Okay, cool. We'll definitely check you out at Rare Camellia over on Twitter. Have a wonderful day, Camellia. Good to see you again. We missed you. Have a good one.
Have a great day, everyone.
There you go. That's Camellia Peterson. We like Camellia. She joins us every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. Central Time, typically. This week we didn't get her on Tuesday. We were sad. But she'll be back next Tuesday and Thursday. If you enjoy Camellia, if you enjoyed that content, then do us a favor. Click that like button. I see we've got a pretty lively chat over on YouTube. Nice to see you guys. Hello, guys. Who do we have here? Dash. Trump won. SA says time to repeal the NFA. Nice to see you. Ron, good morning. Nice to see you all. Martin Grimes. Excellent to see you here. David, Amish man. About 11 people or so watching us now over on YouTube. It's nice to see you, gentlemen and ladies, if you happen to be there. We appreciate you. Looks like Dash says it was a great interview with Camellia Peterson. Well, we appreciate that very much. Andy Opperman got his glasses. By the way, FYI, we sold a box of coffee. That's great news. We are now $30 down towards our $60 goal to unlock today's bonus content. So all we have to do is raise at least $30 more by the end of the show, and you'll unlock today's bonus content about libertarian theories of war, which I think you guys will really appreciate. If you'd like to see today's mini documentary, you can either do what our friend did and make a purchase at apforlibertyshop.com, or you can also just make a Rumble Rant donation or a YouTube super chat. John is giving me the thumbs up over there. Nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching the show on any of the platforms that you're watching on. I think we've got maybe a few hundred people watching us over on Twitter as well. The lovely Paniela Dentsack she just shared it as well. She's going to be joining us here in about 12 minutes. She's going to talk to us about gay furries this morning. That's not Kermode Bear. But if he is a gay furry, then we won't judge him. If Kermode Bear is a gay furry, he could be just a hetero furry. But not all furries are gay furries, and not all furries are attacking Charlie Kirk, the head of Turning Point USA. We're going to hear from Paniela Dentsack this morning. Just kidding. Daniela Pensack. 486 people watching us live over on x.com, and it's nice to see it. So again, don't forget to get those Rumble Rant donations. And what I might recommend that you do is what our friend Andy Opperman did. Look at this beautiful collection. Stephanie made these. Stephanie, I'll make sure that you get this picture so that you can share them on social media. Look at these gorgeous. There's Andy Opperman's hand lotion right there in the background. What have you been doing, Andy? Here's George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin in beautiful whiskey glasses. There you go. Kermode Bear says he's a hetero furry on the chat. Good to see. You can get this entire collection of our founding fathers' historic spirits glasses over at apforlibertyshop.com. You buy the whole set this morning, that will unlock the bonus content. Head on over to apforlibertyshop.com. That's AP, the number 4, apforlibertyshop.com. There you go. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, beautiful stained glass on a gorgeous set of whiskey glasses. You can get that at AP, the number 4, apforlibertyshop.com. There we go. You guys enjoying the show so far? Okay, well, then you need to click that like button. What are you doing? And don't forget to click follow. If it's your first time watching us over on rumble.com, for example, then we'd love to have you come back and join us. The show schedule is every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m., 2-hour show. Great way to start your day. Grab a box of our coffee over at apforlibertyshop.com. Help us to support the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty. I know I've been teasing you guys out for this to let you know that we've got a new sponsor coming on. I've seen the preliminary deal for the new sponsor, but I haven't signed the papers yet. We are tentatively set to begin next week. And I'm just going to tell you that if this sponsor works out, and because they're going to do a 1-month trial period, if this sponsor works out, then like the Wake Up America show and my path to build a liberty network, kind of like a libertarian Daily Wire, like our growth path so far, let me do it so that it's mirrored for the camera. Our growth path so far for the show has been kind of like this, right? Where we have like, a nice portfolio of growth where it's like, like a mutual fund grows, right? Or you want to see this kind of like trend over time. That's kind of like how the Wake Up America show has been growing. But if we manage to do well for this new sponsor, let's say we ink the deal, we start the new sponsor, we go for a month and it goes well, people buy the product and the sponsor renews, then our growth path for the Wake Up America show towards the libertarian network is going to go like, let me see if I can do this with the camera. It's going to be going like this, right? So right now we're growing with the Wake Up America show, kind of like this, nice, healthy growth over time, right? S&P 500 index, right? But if the sponsor like works out and they extend, we're going to be growing like this. Okay. So keep an eye out for that. If you see the new sponsor on Monday, then it's fight or die. We got 30 days to do the best we can for them so that they will continue to extend that contract. And then I'll tell you what, it's not just going to be the Wake Up America show, baby. It's going to be all kinds of shows. I'm going to invest in hustling and homemaking for Steffi. We're going to invest in another podcast. I'm telling you what. And if it doesn't work out, then we continue to grow. And, we did the best we could. Maybe we couldn't sell whatever the product was, which you will find out if we sign and we start on Monday. But it's a big deal. It's a big, big deal. And it could mean a complete transformation in what we do here. It's not going to happen overnight, but certainly the speed of our growth of this network is going to accelerate precipitously. It's a good word, isn't it? Lovely word. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mighty Megatron. He said middle school kids in Utah protest and stage walkout over furries. The left-wing media says it's a myth and a right-wing conspiracy theory. Sure seems to be a lot of theories seem to be reality. Now, remember, we do have a furry in the chat who is a friend of the show, Kermode Bear. Some are tame and some are friendly, although he does eat a lot of your salmon. So we want to be careful about how we denigrate furries. Let's make sure that we're aiming our targets at the left-wing furries, the leftist furries, and the gay furries that are attacking Charlie Kirk. So those are going to be the target of our rage today. We are pre-excluding Kermode Bear and Brindle Bear, our friends over in the Rumble chat, because you guys are allowed to live your life freely, provided that you don't steal too much of our salmon. Okay, we do leave a little bit out for you at night. Okay, Daniela Pensack joins us live in 8 minutes. If you'd like to, instead of watching commercials while I go get Daniela on the set, you can unlock the bonus content, baby. We just got to raise $28 more. And if you would like to watch the documentary instead of the commercials, then get those donations in there at rumble.com. Okay, what do you think? Shall we do it? All right, what's next? Okay, move on to that next topic. Okay. Oh, yes. So Daniela Pensack's going to talk to us a little bit about that NPR chief, and we're going to talk to her about the furries. But first, let's hit that NPR chief. I didn't get to play this clip for you a little bit earlier where she talks about disinformation. Take a listen to this.
The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights, and that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around it. The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights, and that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from.
Okay, so this is the head of NPR, right? The journalistic outfit. She's talking about the number one challenge in the fight against disinformation. And the challenge is the First Amendment. Interesting. Okay. She says that it makes it a little bit tricky to censor, quote, bad information, her words, bad information, and the, quote, influence peddlers who spread it. Now, Christopher Rufo is editorializing here in this. He says to censor, right, bad information, but that is ultimately what the left is advocating for. So you have to be careful. What is she saying here, right? She's talking about the challenge in the fight against disinformation. It does appear in an uncharitable reading of what she's saying, as if she's saying that the First Amendment gets in the way of the ability of people like her, World Economic Forum, Council on Foreign Relations, little stooge, to be able to censor, what is Christopher Rufo's word, influence peddlers, right? People like myself with the Wake Up America show.
The number one
What is
challenge
this?
here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights, and that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from, and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around.
The influence peddlers who have made a real market economy. You know, people like me on the Wake Up America show, and people like Daniela Pensack who support it. Coming up next, Daniela Pensack to talk about the wicked witch of the woke, Catherine Marr, and we're going to talk to her about those gay furries coming after Charlie Kirk on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericashow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your...
The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights, and that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind
Pause. Rewind.
The number
What?
one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust.
The number one challenge that we see is the First Amendment because it's fairly robust. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. It's the Wicked Witch of the Woke, Catherine Maher, the new head of NPR. I say forces out Yuri Berliner after he did some research on what was going on at National Taxpayer Radio. Come to find out, 86 Democrat editors over there, 0 Republicans. I mean, we all knew this was what's going on, but it's become a leftist propaganda outlet. And just who is this Catherine Maher chick anyway? Joining us now to discuss live is, well, the younger, hotter version of her, Daniela Pensack.
Good morning, Austin.
Good morning, Daniela. Nice to see you. Thanks for getting up so early to join us today. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm always feel privileged to be on here.
Yeah, the biggest story out of this whole NPR brouhaha is probably not just what Yuri Berliner uncovered, but the secondary story of everything we're learning about this Catherine Maher chick, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually get a little background, well, a background check on her last night, you could call it, went on her Wikipedia page. And it's interesting how many previous ties she has with all these other institutions. Like you have mentioned the CFR, World Economic Forum, a few other, like in all their like clearly liberal institutions. It's very interesting, but I'm not surprised that she of that ilk is trying to attack our natural born rights, such as our freedom of speech. And you know, it's an insidious way for the left to go in through like these major media outlets, and try to muzzle us in that way. But again, are any of us surprised with this? I mean, it is important to talk about, but it's also like, you know, at this point, it's unsurprising and it's to be expected.
What are some of the key takeaways in your mind from this story surrounding Catherine Maher?
Well, key takeaway, but first of all, is I'm actually impressed that Christopher Rufo picked up on this. And I don't know if you've been following his tweets following this issue, but like he's been looking up her previous tweets and like putting up a really interesting, he's like basically trying to like publicly humiliate her, and I really enjoyed that. And I'm glad that people on the right are kind of like on this warpath and using social media platforms to bring attention to these things that are happening that, you know, your average everyday normal normie people won't be aware of. And it's doing it in a way that is giving us some plausible deniability, right? But we're trying to expose it in a public way to see like these are the people behind the major institutions, and also publicly funded institutions, I may add, to in a roundabout way, you know, fund the campaign against our constitutional rights, you know. So and others are bringing attention to this in a way that is decipherable by your average everyday person.
Catherine Maher is not like your average everyday wokey. She's something of a supercharged turbo leftist. Many of her past posts have been unearthed on X, calling Donald Trump a racist. Okay, average wokey stuff. Blasting Hillary Clinton for using the terms boy and girl, saying she was erasing language for non-binary people. Okay, Hillary Clinton's not woke enough for her. I played the clip of her saying the number one challenge in her fight against disinformation is the First Amendment of the United States. Kind of ironic for the head of a news organization. Hard to be mad about the destruction committed by Black Lives Matter, she says. White silence is complicity. She's for reparations. Even Matt Taibbi says that her writing reads like overeducated, nonsense babbling white ladies. It's difficult to believe she's real. Elon Musk put it simply, this person is a crazy racist.
Did you see her tweet about having the dream with Kamala Harris?
Yes, and she's let me read it too. So I have a piece coming out in Human Events about this week. This was my paragraph. I said, when she's not self-flagellating over the lack of melanin in her skin, she's dreaming of women who don't share her unfortunate sickly white hue like Elizabeth Banks's character in The Hunger Games. I said, this is what she said. She had a dream where Kamala and I were on a road trip in an unspecified location, sampling and comparing nuts and baklava from roadside stands. So she's referring to Vice President Harris. She woke up very hungry. That might be the gayest sentence I've ever heard. I majored in musical theater, Daniela. That is the gayest thing that I have ever heard.
That's like the most affluent white female liberal dream I've ever heard of. Like, it's impressive. It's impressive. Like, even her subconscious is like on that level. I don't know. I feel like at least that tweet, I hope she knew what she was doing. Like, she understand it's like a joke and it's a meme, because if it's real, oh boy, we have problems. Although I'm not surprised with someone who's like subconscious is on that major level of affluent white female liberal, like conception. You're right. She's like the final boss of the affluent white female liberal, I think. It's crazy.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. Nice to see you all here today. Welcome. Glad to have you. We are so close to our goal to unlock the bonus content today. So if you can make a Rumble Rant donation, we need at least $20 more, and then we will be able to unlock today's bonus mini documentary. So get those Rumble Rant donations in, because we've only got about 25 minutes until the end of the show, and you don't want it to go away. You will be sad, and so will I. We will have broken our streak, unbroken so far, of unlocking mini documentaries. Okay, let's move on to the next topic here, of which I was teasing out to discuss. Daniela, you work for Turning Point USA. You are a field coordinator for their high school program. Charlie Kirk is like your final boss. He's the final boss of conservative college kids for leftists. If they approach him on campus. So apparently Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon as well are under attack, but not just from any ordinary leftists. These are more of these kind of like super turbocharged leftists. Gay furries. What's the news?
So yes, a hacktivist group of gay furries have targeted a conservative right-wing media outlet called Real America's Voice. I'm sure a lot of viewers are familiar with them. They platform people like Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon and others. And so what these gay furry hacktivists perceive is that Real America's Voice promote transphobic rhetoric. And so they have been attacking organizations, and they have attacked organizations in the past where they hacked them and they obtained 1,200, so not an exceptionally large amount, but 1,200 pieces of users' information of like addresses, phone numbers, names, basically like almost like doxing them, or actually fairly doxing them. And they posted it in their Telegram chat. I don't know. I haven't found the Telegram chat personally myself. I don't know how many people are comprised of it, but I'm assuming a great number of people are part of that chat. And also they have wiped their Real America's Voice API interface completely. And that's problematic unless they have backup. That's really bad. But these people they have done this before. They've also targeted a church in Minnesota where they have actually released 15,000 pieces of users' information, including addresses, phone numbers, and names. And they have also doxed the pastor because they said they believe that he said like some anti-trans rhetoric as well. And they're on their warpath to basically attack any outlet or organization that that promotes like transphobic views. And so these gay furries are serious. They're really at war with conservatives here.
Okay, so first of all, we know what a gay is. What is a furry, Daniela?
Oh man, that's Pandora's box. Are you sure you want to go down this path, Austin?
Yes.
Okay, well, a furry, and as someone who has grown up online, I'm fairly familiar with this subculture. It's actually a fairly large subculture. It's people who are fascinated with anthropomorphized animals, essentially. And these are people of my generation and even older, actually. There's actually furries go back to like the 80s, I believe. But what you've seen is like this phenomenon of people that are with the animation, like with animation, with Disney and so forth, with anthropomorphized animals in media. You've come across this phenomenon where people become really fascinated with that genre of animation, or just that concept in general. And so they take on what they term as personas, or like this alter ego that's an anthropomorphized animal. A lot of people take this identity online, but a lot of them also will take it even further and get like costumes and go to like conventions and so forth, right? I'm sure a lot of us have seen images and videos of this already. Interestingly enough, a lot of furries are actually, they make a lot of money because these fursuits are like freaking expensive. Like, I don't know if you've looked into Austin, but it's crazy how pricey these, like, they can go up to like $20,000. We were talking like car level prices for some of these fursuits. Some can be cheaper, but if you want the good quality ones, they're pretty expensive. But
So they're basically like mascot character types, right?
yes, yeah.
They dress up for, and in this situation, in this scenario, when we're talking about this story, what we're discussing here are people who dress up in costumes, are gay, and leftist. So gay,
Yeah.
leftist furries. So costume wearers who are gay have sex with each other as the same sex, and then they also are furries, and then they're leftists. So leftist, gay leftist furries. So now everybody knows what we're talking about here.
Yes. Yep.
So garden variety degenerates, and they also are attacking Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon. And while it sounds funny and also kind of disgusting, there's real danger here, because when when you're talking about hacktivism, well, what that means is, and another term people might not know, that these are people who break into computer systems to get personal information, or to steal information, or to try and advance a political cause, kind of like what the anonymous movement used to be to some extent back in the day. And so now what they're doing is they're targeting conservatives, getting their personal information. Do we know what information they've gotten on Charlie Kirk? How do we even know that this happened to Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk?
So the information, they didn't get anything particularly like from Charlie Kirk or Steve Bannon. What they did, but the headline kind of focused on like they're attacking the organization that platforms them essentially. But what they specifically did was get the information of users who use the app, A Real America's Voice, and they dox their information, which is fairly dangerous. And you're right, it is extremely dangerous what they're doing, because like I had mentioned, they've actually doxed individuals before, where like the pastor in Minnesota of that church, where doxing in and of itself isn't illegal, but it is dangerous. I mean, trans people, not the most mentally stable, someone could find his information and go in and kill the guy because he said some anti-trans rhetoric, in his church or whatever. And leftists in particular are pretty barbaric when it comes to this. Like, this isn't the first time you see leftist activists dox people and their information. It's a key component they use to strike fear and a fearmonger conservatives. But there's legitimacy to that fear, because again, I think your average leftist, especially someone that lives in the Pacific Northwest, where it's we're overrun with people like this. They're kind of crazy. Like, they believe it's like them against the conservative narrative. They think is going against their own, not just identities, but their existence. Like, we're trying to kill them, we're trying to hurt them, right? They will go out of their way to hurt conservatives, full stop, in a violent way. They're not just dealing with words here or concepts. Like, they're going on a warpath actually to hurt these people. And it's dangerous, because your average, far leftist isn't the most mentally stable person. It's really concerning what's going to happen here.
It certainly is. Daniela, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners on this topic or another before we let you go today, or plug?
Sure. First thing I want to say, Austin, is beware of furries. These people, they are. It's true they're overrun with gays,
Leftists.
with
The
trans.
leftists,
Yeah,
yes, the leftist furries. Right-wing
the
furries.
leftist fur.
Okay.
Oh, don't get me started on the right wing furries. Have you heard of the fascist furry, Austin?
No, I've not heard of the fascist
That is
furry.
another that. There's another subculture here. Okay, so be careful. Be careful what you wish for. But
Okay.
yeah, and everyone go to my Twitter at Pensac Daniela. I also, if any of you like reading, I just got published in a right wing journal called Dissident Review. One of my papers were published. So if you're interested, go look up Dissident Review, and you can read my essay on the death of beauty and the rise of the Black Venus. It's very interesting. It's on their 5th edition, called Propaganda. I posted it on my Twitter. It's a little bit highbrow though. And then
I was
follow me.
looking for that this morning, actually.
Yeah.
The death of beauty. This is a conversation that I've been having with some of my guests over the last couple of weeks. Why can't we enjoy pretty women anymore? And specifically, we were looking at video games, because there's this concept out there where the left and the wokes who have taken over video games they hate the male gaze and they despise men, men who are being happy or pleased in any way by the female form. The left sexualizes everything but beautiful women. They'll sexualize kids, they'll sexualize people in fursuits, right? They'll sexualize a man who is dressing like a woman, acting like a woman. You can sexualize it. You can have gigantic bazungas, and that's okay. But if you're going to be an actual woman in like a movie, or on a TV show or in a video game, she has to be ugly because it's to prevent the satisfaction of the male gaze. I'm guessing that your more highbrow analysis is something similar.
Yeah, it's pretty. That's essentially encapsulated a little, pretty much of what I talk about. I do try to delve into the philosophy of it because I do believe a lot of this is promoted by the postmodern movement. They're trying to attack objective idealized forms of beauty, because it's the same thing goes for I believe, like, because they're also putting men in dresses. They're trying to attack the idealized male form, but it's more pervasive and it's more obvious in the female form because I think females exhibit beauty more than men do like usually throughout all cultures. So anyway, I talk about it more in depth in the article, but it's going to be published soon, so just keep an eye out on that. It's going to be online. But
I was looking, I was like 5 a.m. in the morning and I saw that it was going to be there, and I clicked on the Instagram link and it took me to the page. I looked all over for it because I was going to try and read it before I came in this morning. So it's not out yet.
It's not out yet. No,
It's
going to be published first. They just like announced the winners that's submitted. But
for sure, because as much as I love, and I always like, we talk about kind of like the surface level stuff on the Wake Up America show. I do like to read those deeper intellectual dives and the things that you write, Daniela, because it's always very stimulating and gives me lots of good ideas. It's and I appreciate, Daniela, too, that you have this major intellectual component, but you can always just come bring it down to the mean and talk about and talk about the gay furries on the show. We appreciate you very much, Daniela Pensack. Have a wonderful day. Anything else real quick before we go?
No, I'm good. I'll see you next week.
You rock. We'll see you next week, Daniela. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, give it up for Daniela Pensack. She can do gay furries and she can do highbrow intellectual pieces as well. Also, let's give it up to Andy Opperman. He just unlocked the bonus content for all of you. Thank you, Andy. He bought the Crusader nightshirt that we have over at ap4libertyshop.com. Well, now because of his good works, good deeds, you guys get to watch today's bonus mini documentary on the show about the libertarian theory of just war. Enjoy, and we'll be right back before we go.
The Wake Up America show's bonus content. Today's big idea we explore is just war theory. Under what circumstances and in what manner should men go to war? Just War theory explores the moral justification for war, distinguishing between the ethical reasoning behind war and the historical conventions governing warfare. It scrutinizes both international agreements, like the Geneva and Hague Conventions, and philosophical perspectives on war's ethical limits. Historically, rules of combat often evolve between culturally similar enemies, agreeing on limitations to warfare when mutual respect and moral identity are recognized. However, differences in religion, race, or language can lead to disregard for these conventions, highlighting the importance of shared morality in forming war ethics. Despite various historical conventions, just war theorists argue for universal, equal application of ethical war principles, emphasizing the need for a moral baseline in warfare that transcends cultural and historical differences. The concept of just war is ancient, with early societies incorporating moral considerations to limit war's devastation. These considerations included the treatment of women, children, and prisoners, reflecting a concern for honor and ethical conduct in warfare. The Bible, Greek and Roman traditions, and early Christian and Islamic scholars have all contributed to the evolution of just war theory, framing warfare within a moral context despite prevailing political and practical considerations. St. Thomas Aquinas significantly advanced just war theory in the 13th century, providing a foundation for later scholars to develop and universalize the ethical principles governing warfare, extending beyond Christian contexts. The 20th century saw a resurgence in just war theory, driven by the development of nuclear weapons and conflicts like the Vietnam War. Contemporary discussions have expanded the philosophical and ethical examination of warfare principles. Yet despite the emphasis on abiding by war's conventions, war crimes continue. Genocidal campaigns have been waged by mutually hating peoples. Leaders have waged total war on ethnic groups within or without their borders, and individual soldiers or guerrilla bands have committed atrocious, murderous, or humiliating acts on their enemy. But arguably, such acts do remain atrocities by virtue of the just war conventions that some things in war are deemed to be inexcusable, regardless of the righteousness of the cause or the noise and fog of battle. Post 9/11, the focus on just war theory has intensified, with academia and military institutions alike scrutinizing the ethical dimensions and conventions of warfare, reflecting its enduring relevance in political and military strategy. The continued brutality of war in the face of conventions and courts of international law leads some to maintain that the application of morality to war is a non-starter. State interest or military exigency would always overwhelm moral concerns. But there are those of a more skeptical persuasion who do not believe that morality can or should exist in war. Its very nature precludes ethical concerns. Despite the establishment of war conventions, atrocities continue, challenging the efficacy of ethical war principles. The struggle to apply moral standards in the chaos of war remains a complex challenge, highlighting the gap between idealism and reality. Arguments from military necessity are of this type. For example, to defeat Germany in World War II, it was deemed necessary to bomb civilian centers, or in the U.S. Civil War, for General Sherman to burn Atlanta. However, intrinsicists, who claim that there are certain acts that are good or bad in themselves, may also decree that no morality can exist in the state of war. They may claim that it can only exist in a peaceful situation in which, for instance, recourse exists to conflict-resolving institutions. Alternatively, intrinsicists may claim that possessing a just cause, the argument from righteousness, is a sufficient condition for pursuing whatever means are necessary to gain a victory or to punish an enemy. The legal framework for prosecuting war crimes has strengthened, moving towards holding individuals accountable for violations of war conventions. This shift represents a move away from historical absolutions towards a more accountable approach. Yet in many conflicts, just war conventions are disregarded, indicating a separation of wartime ethics from peaceful norms. This division suggests a moral realm unique to warfare, where conventional ethics are challenged by the realities of conflict. The brutality of modern warfare, despite international laws and conventions, raises doubts about the applicability of moral standards in war. Critics argue that military necessity often overrides ethical considerations. The debate on war ethics includes consequentialist arguments, which prioritize victory and efficiency over moral constraints, and intrinsicist views, which hold certain actions as inherently good or bad, independent of war's context. Skeptical views question the relevance of just war theory in the age of nuclear weapons, suggesting that traditional moral frameworks are inadequate for modern warfare. However, others argue for the continued importance of ethical considerations, even in nuclear strategy. Possessing just cause is the first and arguably the most important condition of jus ad bellum. Most theorists hold that initiating acts of aggression is unjust and gives a group a just cause to defend itself. But unless aggression is defined, this prescription is rather open-ended. For example, just cause resulting from an act of aggression can ostensibly be a response to a physical injury, for example, a violation of territory, an insult, an aggression against national honor, a trade embargo, an aggression against economic activity, or even to a neighbor's prosperity, a violation of social justice. The onus is then on the just war theorist to provide a consistent and sound account of what is meant by just cause. Ultimately, just war theory represents an ongoing dialogue between historical conventions, philosophical ethics, and the harsh realities of armed conflict, striving to reconcile the moral imperatives with the practical demands of warfare.
Stuff. Thank you, Andy Opperman. Thank you to all of our friends this morning who helped unlock that bonus content today with your donations and purchases at 18forlibertyshop.com. I appreciate all that you do to help support our network that we're growing. And speaking of network, if you guys would like to hear a little bit more about the background of what Stephanie and I are doing and what we're building. I'm going to leak a couple of our little secrets to you right after the show. Yes. Hello, Bear. Maybe you need some yerba mate secrets. Learn from my mistakes. Don't disturb the bombillas. Yes, you don't want to suffer the wrath of the yerba mate purists. So we've got some time to spare and to share with you and me. Not here at rumble.com or on X or on YouTube, but on our new platform, our Locals page. Just 5 minutes after the end of the show, I'm going to head on over to Locals, and we're going to spark a little conversation between all of us who are going to be hanging out there. Have you signed up for the Wake Up America Show's local page? Well, you better do it now. wakeupAmericaShow.locals.com. I've got a couple of little revelations to make of things that we're working on behind the scenes you might like to hear about, but the only way you're going to be able to find it is in one place and one place alone. And speaking of exclusive content, not only are you going to get to hear a couple of fun little behind the scenes things over on that, but you're also going to get access to Stephanie's hustling and homemaking videos a day early there. Yes. So, would you guys like to hang out after the show? I think you would. Are you going to come over to the Wake Up America Show's local page and have a nice little chat after the show? Huh? Are you going to come?
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
So right after the show is over, I have to copy the video files over to my hard drive. I've got to do a couple of maintenance things, but then I'm going to hop onto the Locals page and I'm going to start making some posts. You're going to get exclusive content over there 24 hours earlier. You'll get to see the hustling and homemaking video before anybody else gets to see it, but only if you're a member of our Locals page, wakeupAmericaShow.locals.com. I'm going to be over there about 6 to 7 minutes from now, and I'm going to be telling you guys some secrets about the future of our network. If you want to hear them, you won't be able to hear them anywhere else. I won't be tweeting them. I will not be rumbling them. I will not be Facebooking them. They will only be available, those secrets, on my Locals page. Now is the time. You guys want to go hang out after the show? I think you do. Come on, let's go hang out together. Keep the conversation going. wakeupAmericaShow.locals.com. I will see you there, but if I don't see you there, you're a square. No, you probably have a life and you have to do things. I get it. I understand. It can't be all AP for liberties 24 hours a day. But if you want it to be, it can. Over at locals.com. wakeupAmericaShow.locals.com. Become a member over there. You get 20% discounts at apforlibertyshop.com if you're a subscribed member over there. You get to make posts and add your own content, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to be dropping a couple of secrets over there right after the show. So head on over there, get signed up. That way you're going to be able to participate in the conversation we're going to have right after the show. And then tomorrow, Freedom Family Friday, the lovely Stephanie Peterson will be joining us. Justin is sick, unfortunately. He will not be able to join us. Maybe I'll find us another guest so we can have a lot of fun. So, all right, see you guys over on locals.com. wakeupAmericaShow.locals.com. But if not, I'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to Wake Up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin.